Mike, a week from Thursday, we will be in Vegas for day 1 and 2 of the NFL draft. I don't know if you've been keeping up with these mock drafts, man, but, you know, I can't get enough. Cannot get enough. And obviously, all eyes, as usual, on where these quarterbacks are going to fall. And interestingly, you know, franchise in need of a quarterback, one of the flagship franchises in this here league, one mock draft, this is from The Athletic, has our next guest, Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati, going. And Desmond Ridder has been making the rounds with all the usual suspects that need quarterbacks, short and long term, whether that's visiting with the Seahawks, whether it's visiting with the Steelers, I just mentioned, the Panthers, the Colts most recently, went and worked him out. He is a popular guy, as you might imagine, for somebody that's got a sterling 44-6 record at the University of Cincinnati and put up 116 total touchdowns and went undefeated at home. And Desmond Ridder makes the time to join Brother from Another now. It's so good to see you, man. But not only are you an accomplished quarterback from the University of Cincinnati and some lucky franchise's future quarterback, but most important, you are Leighton's dad. Your daughter Leighton turns a year old tomorrow. Michael and I are proud fathers. As you probably know by now, the days are long, but the years are short. You look up and they're asking you to go out, you know, and hang out with their friends. What's your favorite part about fatherhood a year in with beautiful young Leighton?
I think, you know, coming home, no matter how your day goes, when you come home, she's always got a smile on her face. So whether that was in season and, you know, I took a rare loss or come home from work and maybe had a bad day, whatever it may be, she has no clue what goes on during the day. But, you know, when I come home and a smile on her face, it just makes me happy. So just seeing her, just being as happy as she could be, it just makes me put a smile on my face.
That's awesome, man. We definitely can relate to that. Let me ask you this, like, how much is Leighton, or even what else are you doing? I know how I'm obsessed I am with the draft process. I know how obsessed Michael Holley is with the draft process. How do you kind of like block out all the reports, the rumors, the speculation, the mock draft, everybody projecting where you might be spending the next few years of your life? How do you just kind of keep your cool and not drive yourself crazy during the longest job interview known to man?
Yeah, just put your head down and work. And then, you know, like you mentioned before, I've been on all these visits, and they kind of tell you the same thing as far as from the coaches, the owners, the GMs. They say, you know, don't look at any of those reports. Don't look at any mock drafts. You know, sometimes, you know, they just push those out there for people to see. But, you know, not all the times do they know exactly what they're talking about. So, you know, just keep your head down, focus, and keep working how you've done to get you where I'm at right now. So, you know, it's been really easy for me to just go down and just work.
You know, Desmond, when these teams call you, at this point, here we are a week from the draft, pretty much a week away from the draft, you know what the process is. They're going to ask me these kinds of questions. I'm going to have to do this. What's your favorite part of the process when you work out for a team? What do you just say, okay, I love this part?
Obviously, you know, the football part of it is obviously, you know, the most fun of being able to go out there and throw with your teammates and this and that and put on a good workout. But, you know, what I think is pretty entertaining is going over the installs in the meeting rooms and just showing how quick, you know, I can pick up and retain information and spit it back to them. And, you know, it not only lets them see how well I can retain information, but it also lets them know, you know, my knowledge of the game, my IQ of the game, which I think is pretty high. And so sometimes, you know, it's nice to almost see, you know, sometimes they look shocked sometimes or, you know, maybe they didn't expect it. And so that's always a really fun part of mine when I go on these visits, do these workouts, is just getting in those meeting rooms and showing what I have to offer off the field.
Just that quick recall, just being able to give it back to them. Where would you say you learned that ability or honed that ability to do that?
I would just say kind of over time. And then obviously coming into the college level, I would say that's when it definitely started to pick up. Coming off to the sideline, talking with my position coach, Gino Gaduli, being able to recall, you know, maybe an 8 or maybe a 16-play series, just kind of going through it with him after every single drive that we came off the field. And, you know, I think that's really where I honed in on it. It was definitely these past 3 or 4 seasons with Coach Gino. And, you know, I feel like I've done a great job. And then also I feel like preparation helps a lot with that as well. Just, you know, understanding and knowing what the defense is doing. So it makes it that much easier when you're out there on the field.
Pardon us for a moment, Desmond. Michael, I'm sure you've read his scouting reports. Back in our Madden 2004 franchise mode days, when we're talking about a quarterback that's talk about his maturity, his intelligence, his confidence, his competitiveness, he's a winner, his experience, how he processes things, how he, you know, establishes the culture. Back in the day, we'd have said, yo, he's coming with us. He's coming to play with us.
That was our phrase.
So
he's coming with us.
We'd have drafted you in a second, like just based off of that alone, just off your resume and your intangibles alone, let alone your physical attributes. But I'm wondering, I want to turn the tables a little bit, Desmond. Obviously, you don't get to pick where you're going. That's the nature of the NFL draft. But when you're talking to teams, what are you looking for from them? What do you want to hear? What are you trying to get out of a franchise in terms of why it would be the right fit for you? We know what you bring to the table. What are you looking for in this job interview?
Yeah, just the connections between, you know, not only myself and the head coach, but with the OC and the quarterback coach. And then, you know, also to know that, you know, there might be a couple veteran guys there, whether that is at the quarterback position or, you know, the wide receiver position or anywhere along the offensive side of the ball, that, you know, that you can go in there and truly learn, you know, what it takes to be an NFL player, what it takes to have longevity, and how to be, you know, one of the best. Obviously, the vets have been there for a long time, and that's, you know, where I see myself in, you know, years to come. And so, you know, when I go in these meetings and I go on these teams, and just making sure that, you know, I'm making the best connection that I can with these coaches and just understanding their personalities and how they go about their things, how they go about their game plan. I think that's huge for me.
I'm just trying to think, how did you process this? I mean, it's just, and Michael read it earlier, like how you haven't lost, you didn't lose a game at home. Okay, what was that like? I mean, you just got to the point like, hey, I don't care who the opponent is, they're not coming in here, they're not beating us. Just what was that like, knowing that that's a part of your story and the story of your teammates?
Yeah, and you know, that's what when I talk about legacy, that's what I wanted to leave as well. And you know, as the University of Cincinnati and a football team, every, you know, off-season program conditioning, we have to run the stadium steps for 7 times, and we do 7 times for 7 home games, 6 regular season games, and then we always say the championship game is going to be at home because we're going to be first in our conference. So we're always running 7 stadium steps. We call protect the nip. Nip would obviously be in the stadium, but you know, when we know that someone's coming in there to take whatever we have, we know that we have to give it our all. And like you said, you know, it started out season 1, okay, we didn't lose any. Season 2, we have to keep it the same. And then all the way up through season 4, you know, obviously then you start to hear about the record of being undefeated at home and everything. And then now it just kind of comes second nature. Obviously losing it is something that we did, you know, very seldomly. So we don't like to do that or want to do that, and especially at Nippert, that's somewhere where we feel sacred and where we feel obviously at home.
Hey, Desmond, last thing before we get you out of here, man, and we appreciate the time again. Like, based off of everything that's been written, said, and even just this impression of you through this conversation, clearly you're a guy that, you know, not only are going to help a team at the quarterback position, but just going to be the type of guy you want as part of your program. You want him in your locker room. I wonder, how and why has your leadership style been so effective throughout your playing career, and how will you continue to grow as a leader, even at a young age, once you join an NFL franchise?
Yeah, you know, I think, you know, part of my leadership style comes from just being adaptive, being able to adapt to different people from different places. And, you know, that's kind of how I grew up, obviously, with a younger family. You know, seeing a lot of different people from a lot of different places and having to kind of adapt quickly. And then that kind of just transitioned into, you know, middle school ball and high school ball, and then obviously through college, just to be able to go into a locker room and be able to gel with players so easily, teammates, coaches so easily. And so for me, you know, that's something that, 1, I take pride in, and 2, that kind of just comes naturally. But, you know, obviously, you know, I think this next step, obviously, into the league is a challenge, and I'm always excited for a new challenge. Obviously, the physical aspect of it, the mental aspect of it, as far from the quarterback position, but then also, like we're talking about, the leadership aspect of it, to be able to go out there and now lead grown men who could be 10, 15, 20 years older than you are, rather than where it was, as a freshman, had guys that were only 4 years older than me. And then, as a senior, having guys 4 years younger than me. So, like I said, I love a challenge, obviously my competitive nature. And so when I look at this and I look at the next step, and I look at my future, I look at it as a challenge. And, I'm always ready to compete, and I think I'm going to win that challenge.
Well, you've risen to everyone so far, man. Hey, congratulations. 1-year-old Leighton tomorrow, special day in the Ridder family. And, hey, man, congratulations. And can't wait to see where you end up and what you do moving forward.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Anytime. You have to come back after your draft status is settled.
Yes, sir. That sounds good.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.